Short time ago, President Obama signed 2 executive orders to help ensure that women earn as much as men for doing exactly the same kind of jobs.
And today, I'm going to take action, executive action, to make it easier for working women to earn fair pay. So first, I'm going to sign an executive order to create more pay transparency by prohibiting federal contractors from retaliating against employees who discuss their pay with each other.
Right. When President Obama entered the White House back in 2009, the first law he signed was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. That law was named for the Alabama grandmother who became a champion for equal pay after men in her Goodyear plant doing similar work had been paid up to 40% more. Valerie Jarrett is President Obama's senior advisor. She's joining us from the White House right now. Valerie, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you, Wolf. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
All right, so everybody wants women who are doing exactly the same work as men to get equal pay. That's not controversial. Here's the question. What has taken so long? The Lilly Ledbetter Act was the first step in this direction. Now the president's taking additional steps, 5 years later? So why has it taken so long to move on and make sure that this really does happen in our country?
Well, every single year, the president has been supporting a piece of legislation that is sitting up on the Hill right now called Paycheck Fairness. And that law would do the same thing that he did today by executive order, except that it would apply to all employers. And so our goal was to try to get Congress to act to cover all employers. But as he said in this year's State of the Union, this is going to be a year of action. And where Congress fails to act, he will take action. So that's what he did today. But yet and still, he's still pushing Congress to pass a very important legislation that would benefit every single woman out there who has no idea whether or not she's being discriminated against, does not have access to data that would show whether or not she's earning the same amount as her male equivalents, and who is concerned that her employers might retaliate against her in the event that she starts to ask what other people are making.
Republican Representative Cathy McMorris Rodgers in the House of Representatives basically is saying that what you, the administration, are planning on doing is going to wind up hurting women. I want to play a little clip of what she said today.
So women understand the direct impact of the policies and the impact that they have on them. So on this Equal Pay Day, I would urge us to stop politicizing women and let's start focusing on those policies that are actually going to help women and everyone in this country have a better life.
She says basically you're doing this for politics and for politics only.
Well, I would ask her, what policies is she talking about, and why would she shy away from supporting paycheck fairness? As you mentioned, we had Lilly Ledbetter here with us today, and when you listen to her story, for 19 years she was being discriminated against by her employer. That's a fact. The other fact is she had no idea until someone passed her an anonymous tip letting her know that she wasn't being paid fairly. That's another fact. The reason why it was anonymous is that her coworker was afraid about retaliation if she shared it. So just think, 19 years went by where Lilly had no idea that she was being discriminated against. And so what we would invite the members of Congress on the Republican Party who talk about policies, well, you know, you can support a policy that's right there in front of you today. It is against the law to discriminate against women, but we know that it happens each and every day and that there is still a pay gap. And so what the president is saying is, shouldn't we all work together to close that gap? One way to do it is to make sure that there is equal pay for equal work. Another thing is to make sure we are opening up opportunities for women to go into fields that have disproportionate representation of men and who also pay a higher wage. So science and technology and engineering fields pay a much higher rate. So what can we do to encourage women, girls, to take classes in science and math, encourage employers and professors and supporters to help women go into those fields so that they can get those higher paying jobs? What can we do to make sure that our workplace is flexible so that women aren't faced with having to drop out of the workforce because of the need to have flexibility as they take care of their children? Let's make sure we have daycare available so that women are affordable daycare, so that women are choosing between working and taking care of their children. So there are a whole range of issues here, Wolf, that we need to have a conversation about. And what the president is calling for today is let's have transparency. Let's all look at what the statistics are, and then let's figure out how to close that gap.
Here's the criticism, though, of the White House. Nationally, studies showed that women make 77 cents for every dollar a man makes, even though men and women are roughly 50-50 in the workplace. But at the White House, it's 88 cents, according to the Conservative American Enterprise Institute. They came out with a study saying 88 cents for every dollar a man makes. And Jay Carney was asked about this, the press secretary, yesterday. I want you to listen, Valerie, to what he said.
I think that those studies look at the aggregate of everyone on staff, and that includes from the most junior levels to the most senior. What I can tell you is that we have, as an institution here, have aggressively addressed this challenge. And obviously, though, at the 88 cents that you cite, that is not 100, but it is better than the national average.
Is that okay that White House employees, women make 88 cents for every dollar a man makes?
Well, let's talk about the White House. So here are the facts. In the White House, women earn equal pay for equal work. So, for example, I'm a senior advisor. I make the exact same amount that Dion Pfeiffer makes, the other senior advisor. And that's up and down throughout the White House. So the most junior people earn the same exact salary. We also have 16 departments in the White House, the majority of which are run by women. We have opportunities for promotion in the White House, and one of the reasons why our number is at 88 cents is because we have aggressively recruited women to come in at entry-level positions, because the president is committed to making sure that women have opportunities for upward mobility within the White House. And just yesterday, Wolf, I was sitting around one of the senior staff meetings, and of the assistants to the president, which is the most senior position in the White House, I looked around, and 9 of the 10 assistants to the president, I realized, had been promoted to those positions while in the White House. So the president believes in providing that ladder of opportunity up, and he also believes that when women are first coming out of school or at most junior levels, let's get them onto the payroll. That's why our number is skewed to 88 cents. But the real important point here, Wolf, is we can have a conversation about it because of transparency. Our statistics at the White House are open for everyone to see. We have analyzed it to figure out why there is that gap. We are aggressively looking at ways of moving women up into higher levels within the White House, and we're very, very proud of our track record. But you wouldn't have any idea about the details behind those numbers were it not for pay transparency.
Valerie Jarrett at the White House. Valerie, thanks very much for joining us.
You're welcome. My pleasure, Wolf.